Hi guys, so I've got a very exciting tutorial for you today. It's how to export Horizon World primitive builds into VRChat. So obviously with the recent news that Meta are planning to deprecate or sunset or however you want to put it, the VR component of Horizon Worlds. A lot of people are obviously wondering, all those lovely worlds they've created over the last 4 years. What's going to happen to them? Well, no one really knows at the moment. But if you're worried, you can, of course, export your maps out of Horizon World. You can export all that hard work out of Horizon Worlds and then pull it to another platform. So today we're going to be talking about VRChat specifically, which I know a lot of people are interested in. I've certainly been asked by a lot of people if I'm putting out a tutorial for this. And well, here we go. So I'm going to keep it short. First of all, we're going to go through a quick preamble of things that you need to know before you begin. And then we're going to just run through exporting your primitive-based world from Horizon Worlds. And that's an important thing, actually. We're going to be looking at the primitive worlds, not the custom model imports or tri-mesh worlds, as they were sometimes called. We're going to focus just on primitive base. But honestly, if you master this, I would say the custom model import stuff is actually easier because you get the textures out with that. Now, more on that in just a second. So we're going to run through, well, basically everything you need to export and publish your world. So here we got installing the VRChat Creator Companion. That is an essential tool that you're going to need for this. Well, we'll cover that in just a second. Creating a new VRChat world project. Then we're going to actually import the world that we exported from Horizon World into it. We're going to use a really quick and dirty way of adding collisions, and also materials. So we can start adding a bit of colour to your world. Then we're going to upload it into VRChat. And then we're going to walk around it right at the end. So strap in. I'll make this as simple and quick as I can. Let's go. Hi, I'm the Three-Eyed Tiger. Welcome to the channel. Here you'll find tutorials, guides, and a look at life inside the metaverse across many different platforms. A lot of you already have a headset, but I want to teach you skills that you never knew you had, and show you places and communities that you probably never knew existed. You've probably seen a lot of content from journalists and influencers who honestly have no idea what amazing things people like you and I are actually doing in here. This is the other side of that story. I spent the last several years actually inside these platforms, building worlds, running social hubs, and figuring things out the hard way. And I want to share everything I've learned with you. So stick around and follow me. There's a lot to explore, and I'm really glad you're here. Okay, so quick preamble. When you're exporting custom model import worlds, you'll actually get the FBX file, which is the geometry of the world. And you get the textures as well exported with it. And that's a little box you can tick in it. We'll see that in a moment. But when you're exporting older, primitive style worlds, you're only going to get the FBX geometry. There'll be no textures, tints, or colours. So basically it's just your big grey version of your world, which, again, we'll go through how to fix that. It does require a little bit of work. In terms of scripting, so Horizons uses 2 primary methods. One of them is Horizon World code blocks, and the other is Horizon Worlds TypeScript. And honestly, code blocks, they've been trying to retire that for a while, so you are going to have to interpret that and put it into a different language if you want to carry on using those. So yeah, code blocks will not export. TypeScript, on the other hand, you can get the TypeScript out separately. That won't be covered in today's tutorial. But here's the thing. When you're exporting to VRChat, you've only really got 2 methods of scripting, and they're good. One of them is Udon Graph, which is a node-based visual scripting language. A fairly quick go of it. It is quite tough. I would say it's very, very tough. But that said, if you really didn't want to write any code, there is an option for you to do that. But really, I would recommend Udon Sharp, which is a C# based syntax. And I absolutely recommend going this route because these days most people are writing scripts via AI. And yeah, you'll be able to do that if you go that route. So yeah, once again, we won't be covering scripting at all in today's session. That you could write a library on that. And there's lots of great videos out there already by people who go through that. I like to do some in time, but not today. Okay, so, publishing in VRChat, we've got this thing called trust levels, okay? Now, trust levels in VRChat really do matter. So if you've just signed it with a VRChat account, you might find you're not going to be able to publish a world, not straight away. So down the bottom left here, we've got the actual ranks as defined on the documentation page. You start off as a visitor, and then in time, you rank up to be a new user, then a user, then a known user, and then a trusted user. Okay, so typically once you reach new user, you can upload a private world at the moment, okay? You can't do a public world at that point. You need to keep pushing up to user before you can go down the public world route. So when I say private and public, I mean you can create a private world that you can go to and you can invite your friends into or what have you. But you can't publicly list it until it's public. Now, for your world to be public, it's got to be submitted to VRChat's community labs for review. That's so important. And yeah, you'll need to be at least a user to go through that. So you submit your world, VRChat team just check over it, make sure it's okay, it's not too crappy on performance, or it doesn't contain anything weird, too weird at least, and then you're good to go. Once it's in community labs, actually, it is kind of considered public. It's, people can get to it. Okay. Publishing is done via a specific version of Unity in the VRChat SDK. You do not typically install Unity or the SDK directly. That's important. Most people that I speak to, straight away they install Unity and then they realize it's the wrong version and have just wasted half an hour doing that. So, we'll go to the VRChat creating companion, and that's the first thing you'll install. It takes care of so much for you, so yeah, okay. How do you gain ranks, actually, just before we move off the page? So it's not exactly documented. They don't want people gaming it. But just simply by playing VRChat, making friends, traveling around worlds, adding these to your bookmarks, adding friends, etc. Just generally using VRChat, that trust level will go up. Like I said, there's a lot of little bits to that algorithm, and a lot of people think they figured it out, and I'm sure they're close, but yeah, just spend time in VRChat, go to some communities and get on with people, and yeah, he should rank up in no time. Okay. So, for this, we're gonna go and grab a copy of the world that we want to export. So this is one of my first worlds. It's called Zen, and I really wanted a Zen gun, so I went and made one. This was built, gosh, March, a few years back actually. But this is the one we're going to be using as a test bed. It's sort of a small to medium complexity world. And you can see there's a lot of sort of special effects and sound blocks in here now. We obviously won't be exporting those, but the geometry is what we'll be able to get. So first of all, you need to open up the Horizon World desktop editor, which you should already have installed. If not, it's available on the Horizon World's developer pages. Just look out for Horizon World desktop editor. So once you've kind of gone into that and opened up the world, you're going to need to go into the little burger menu at the top left and then work your way down to export geometry. And when you click on that, it takes you to this screen. And in this screen, now I've ticked export textures. Now that would be important if this was a CMI export. So if this was a tri-mesh world, that would indeed export textures. But you'll see, and we'll prove this, that when you do this on an older style primitive world, it does nothing. So, but yeah, tick that box to export and we're good to proceed. So yeah, we need to export it to a folder. Again, I would always advise exporting it to its own folder, because if there are any textures, then it'll put them alongside it, so it's a good way to organize things. Give it a name. I've just called this Zen, then the bottom, and then hit save button. Okay. Just confirm that it exported. I have had some people come to me in the last few days telling me that it doesn't always work first time, so just check, be sure. Okay, so you can close the Horizon Worlds desktop editor now, we don't need it. So now we need to go off and get the VRChat Creator Companion. So we do this by going to this URL at the top, so it's at vcc.docs.vrchat.com, or I think you can just go to vrchat.com and then head to the developer section. So once you're there, you'll see a page a bit like this. You should just scroll down a little bit. There is a thing here saying the Creator Companion is available on the VRChat website. You can always download the latest version directly. Now, if you click that download the latest version link, it will start downloading. So I advise do that and you'll get the latest version. I would say there's a video just above there in the middle of the screen. It is a couple years old, so there are a few slight changes. If you get lost during the install process, it's a good one to go to. That is an officially created video, so you use it if you need it. Okay, once you've got the VRChat Creator Companion, or VCC as it's also known, installed, this is basically what it looks like. And you'll see in here, you can actually install the correct version of Unity. It should prompt you. I couldn't get a screenshot of that because I've already got it set up, unfortunately. But it'll actually prompt you to install the correct version of Unity. Now, with that also in the background, there is like a Unity Hub, I believe. And Unity Hub is like a separate app, which will manage the versions of Unity as well for you. But typically when you're doing this, you'll just open up the VRChat Creator Companion. You don't need to open up the hub directly at all. This will talk to it and get it to do the right things that it wants it to do. So you can see the versions listed here. You've got the major version 2022, that is the current at time of filming version that we're using for VRChat development. And you could even see there, look in the selected editor path, it's the 2022.3.22.f1. You don't need to worry about that too much because the VCC will handle this for you. If you needed to see the screen, sorry, that's in the settings section down the bottom left. And that should show you a whole load of stuff in there. You can see this is the version 2.4.5 of the VCC, so this should be present or current, I believe. Okay, so let's move on. So now we've got the project screen, so we get to this by clicking on the top left. Now I've already got a lot of projects in here, and you can see the project types listed. You've got worlds and there's avatars. So yes, you can create worlds and avatars using this thing, which is amazing if you ever want to get into avatar creation. It's really rewarding. Quite difficult though. So really what we want to do here is we want to click on the Create New Project button just at the top right there. And then when we do that, we need some options. So you need to hit that Unity 2022 World Project. I need to do that then. Down the bottom, you've got project name. Give it a meaningful name. I've called it world_HWZen. And that's the project location. It's worth taking note of that, because if you ever need access to the loose files, that's where they're stored. So you may want to change them to somewhere a bit more friendly if you're not sure. And when you've done that, click on the Create Project in the bottom. Here we go. Oh, by the way, it's the Create Project button isn't highlighted. Just make sure you've clicked on the World 2022 at the top left there. I did that earlier. Okay. So now we just give it a moment and it's going to create our empty project. That could take a few minutes. So now it shows us the actual sort of the project management screen with the package manager in the middle. We're not going to worry too much about that for now, but when you come to put additional add-ons into your project, maybe you want to bring some TV screens in or some other fancy stuff, pool tables maybe if you've got some community projects downloaded, that is how you would start to typically add those. You can see the path at the top just saying located at, so if you ever need access to that, certainly for backups, which I'm not going to cover backups on here, but make sure you do keep backups of your worlds. Oh my god. In Horizons, obviously, if you messed up, then they would have the backups for you. You could restore from them. In here, you are very much in charge of that yourself. So, just do that. Any big changes, create your own backups. Just copy those folders somewhere. Okay, so if we hit the Open Project button, we're good to proceed. Then we just give it again another few minutes. The first load always takes a little while. So we're going to be staring at the screen for a good number of minutes. And then eventually, here we go. This is only on a project. So you can see there's a few things to note up here. You've got hierarchy just on the left screen. That's kind of similar to what you used to have in Horizon Worlds. It's this sort of this outliner or hierarchy, I guess, on the left listing objects that are actually in the scene. One thing to note is the VRC world item just at the top left. That's the descriptor for the world. Never remove that. It's very important. You can get it back, but yeah, just leave it alone. Down the bottom, we've got the project files. This is where we're going to create things throughout the session. And over on the right, we've got the inspector, and that shows us the properties of things that we've got selected. That's going to come in very shortly. And then in the middle, we've got the scene. That's the 3D scene editor. So again, that might look quite familiar. So what we're going to do now is we are going to click down the bottom in this sort of grey area here, where we have the asset section. And then that'll pop up quite a big menu. We need to head to the create options. There's such a big menu. And when we go to the create section, we need to create a new folder. And this is just a good organizational habit for what we're about to do. When we create that folder, call it mesh as well. You can kind of see that just at the top right. Because what we're going to do is then once we've created that folder, we're going to right click in there and we're going to import a new asset. And we're going to import the FBX of the world we just exported. So remember where you saved that, of course, from before. And there we go. We've imported our level. So he's just sat there staring at us now in that mesh. That mesh menu. So that mesh folder. Now if we just skip on to the next bit. So next we're going to drag and drop that from the bottom up onto the hierarchy. So it's tempting to drag and drop it into the middle scene view. Be honest, by drag and drop it onto the hierarchy, it initializes it at position 000. So I don't know, I just think it's a bit quicker to do it that way without any fiddling. So there we go, we've now imported our level. It's looking very grey, isn't it? So we're going to try and sort that out shortly. First things first though, as promised, collisions. So collisions is an entire topic in itself, of which you might not want everything to be collidable. You know, and for example, in this Zen world, there is a door, which I don't actually want to be collidable. I want people to be able to walk through it. Or technically, I want to script it so it opens, but we're not going to worry about that today. What we're going to do, because the export from Horizons basically just names everything as IDs, which makes it quite difficult to work with from the off. So, what we're going to do is we're going to open up that Zen object, or that, whatever yours is called, of course, in the hierarchy, and then we're going to shift click from the top, scroll down, and then click on the bottom one, and we're basically going to highlight every single object underneath that Zen object, okay? When you've done that, then we're going to go over to the right hand side in the inspector. Now you can see we've got all 735 objects selected, so we're about to do a batch operation. Scary, right? So what we're going to do is, if you click on the add component button, just on the right there, the next thing we're going to do is to try and find the mesh collider. Okay? So what I did here was actually typed in COLL into the little search box, and it came up with a whole different load of colliders. But because not all our objects are boxes, it makes it quite difficult to just use a simple box collider. So for now, I'm going straightly down the dirty route on this one. We're going to use a mesh collider. I don't generally advise doing this in the long term, but it's going to work for us right now. So let's just do that. So if you click on mesh collider, it will apply the mesh collider to every object, which is wonderful. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to click on the static button at the top. So you can see that little 735 I've got there. That's the number of objects I've still got selected. So I'm going to hit that static. That makes life a little bit easier on the collision engine because it knows those objects are not changing position. So they're both collidable and they're static. And that's wonderful. That's going to make things as happy as it can be for now. This is just an intro, guys. I'm trying not to make this too complicated. So now the next thing we need to do is go into the hierarchy on the top left, and there's the VR world. VRC world. And remember I said that, now don't delete it. Definitely still don't delete it. But select it and you'll see a little pair of axes appear in your scene, and that is your spawn point. So if you move that around, you can actually change where the players spawn in when they come into your level. And something to bear in mind, the blue arrow that you see coming off it is actually which direction the players are facing when they spawn in. So do remember to rotate it, otherwise they'll be spawning in staring at a wall wondering what the hell is going on. So yeah, you can see I've just sort of down the bottom right, I've moved it to the original spawn location in the one that I had in Horizon Worlds. And then really now we've done that, we're gonna run it and run through it just on the desktop for now. But check this out, ready? Look, so once you hit that play button at the top, you can now use the WASD keys to move around. You've got a space bar you can jump with, and you can use the mouse to sort of look around. And you'll notice now all the collisions are there, everything we walk across, we're not walking through the bridge or any walls or anything, which I can't enter the building in the traditional way because I need to come back and sort that out, so I'll need to probably remove some doorways or open them or what have you. But look, this is the Zen world. Absolutely colourless, of course. We're still coming to that. That's next. But we're running up a little planks across the pond. It's absolutely cool. So, yeah. Let's let that video play out for a second. Sorry, this is a trip down memory lane for me. We had so much fun in this world. Used to use it to sort of meet up and just talk, and sometimes people would fall asleep. The memories. Anyway, okay, video is over. You just press escape to release your mouse pointer, and then you can hit exit play mode, and that'll take you out of it then. Okay, and then we're back to, oh, I'm sorry. We're back to here. So, now we're going to create another folder in that assets section in the bottom, okay? So, whereas we made a mesh one before, now we're going to create one called materials. So once we've done that, go into that materials folder, then right click somewhere in the grey area, and then hit create, go down to material, and then I've called it green hills because I'm going to create a material that I'm going to apply to all of the hills. Okay, this is really, really important when you're new to building in VRChat, and it's around performance. So in VRChat, your world will run on both PC VR, so that's people running their headsets through their PCs, and also, like we always did with Horizon Worlds, natively on the headset itself. The standard shader is not very good for the standalone stuff. It's very, very heavy. Luckily, VRChat have given you something that you can substitute it with. So when you create your material, you'll see it says standard and that's a default. But if you click on that, it'll pop up a little search. Now what you're looking for, you have to sort of go in there a little bit. You have to find the VRChat mobile standard light. So you can also probably use the search box to look for standard light and it will come up there. But yeah, if you're not sure, click on standard, click on VRChat, click on mobile, and then standard light. And there we go. We've now got our standard light shader. Looks very similar to the standard from the properties bit it's supposed to. It's just a lot more lightweight but running on the headsets. People will thank you for that because no one likes things to run choppily. Okay. So now, tick on the albedo colour. So it'll probably be like a grey colour or a white colour. But if you click on that, you'll pop up a little colour chooser. So now I want you to pick, well, green. In the case of green hills, I think it's fairly descriptive, but knock yourself out. Go for whatever colour you want. And when you do that, it'll change the albedo colour. So the next thing we do once we've done that, you can see just on the right there's our changed material, is we actually drag that material from the folder down the bottom onto the object. Brilliant, and it actually applies it. Now you'll see this one actually is quite smooth because the smoothness at the top right is set to 0.5. Now in the next frame I think I changed this. So yeah, I've actually, oh you can't see it, but I've actually reduced the smoothness a bit to give it less of a shine. So still it's kind of cool, but it's just not so shiny. And I've actually dragged that material onto a few more hills as well, just to give them some colour. So yeah, as you play about with that green hills material, you'll notice now anything that has that material assigned to it will also immediately change. So that's really cool. But also something to be aware of if you didn't work that out by now. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go down to the assets? Yes, the assets window at the bottom right. Math even. And then we're going to copy that green hills material. But we're going to rename it to redwood. And then, similarly, begin to then edit that redwood texture, change the albedo to red, and give it a little bit of metallic, a little bit of smoothness, not important, do whatever you want. And then we drag that onto the object, which should be red coloured, so you're probably getting the hang of this by now. Yes, it is going to be a bit of work to do this. As you get more experienced in Unity, there will be ways to accelerate this process. And you will find them, and they involve things like, I think, multi-selecting objects, and then just dragging the material onto the inspector. But honestly, go with whatever works for you. The rest will come. Okay. So now we gotta try uploading it. You ready? So if we go into the VRChat SDK at the top, at the show control panel inside that menu, and that opens up this wonderful little menu, which hovers, but you can dock it inside the meta, inside the well, any part of the window, to be honest, if that's better. But let's deal with it just floating for now. That keeps it simple. And so the first thing you need your username and password to input into there. And then when you do that as well, it'll send you an email asking you to authenticate. So you need to, use your multi-factor authentication code. Once you're done with that, you're in. Yeah, so, this is the exciting bit. So now you've just got to give your world a name, right? You've also got to give it a thumbnail. So give it a really fancy thumbnail, something that really will stand out as people are looking through your lists of worlds. Give it a description for sure. Set the capacity. So I think I'm right in saying worlds can go up to 80 people. Oh, no, right? That's crazy. 80 people. Set to a sensible limit. You've got your max, you've got your recommended. Go for it. And if there's any sort of like sexually suggestive content in it, content warnings, definitely do use those, okay? So there's like sexy stuff and violent stuff, and having a look in there, you'll see. If your world has got anything in there that needs to be flagged, then do that. VRChat will be using that in the future to help people discover or perhaps not discover your worlds. And once you're done with naming it, here we go. We're into the review any alert section. Then the bottom. So, because this is your first time publishing, you do need to add layers into VRChat. Don't worry about too much what that means. You only have to do it once per world. So, just hit the setup layers for VRChat, and then hit do it. And then you'll have to do the collision matrix as well. So click on that, and hit the do it button as well when that pops up. Okay. Now we're going to worry about the multi-platform bit. So a little bit about this. When you upload a world to VRChat currently, you can actually upload a completely different geometry for PC desktop users and Android users. So the Android users might get simpler geometry, they might get simpler shaders. For example, the water shaders might be indeed very different for Android users. But right now we don't need to worry about this because we're not using anything fancy in here. It's just geometry and standard mobile shaders. So what we're going to do is go down the bottom. We're going to hit the platform combo box down there, and we're going to select both Windows and Android. And then what we do, when we've selected those, you'll notice the button changes from build and publish to multi-platform build and publish. Hooray! So let's click on that. You can see it sort of goes off, and it'll take a minute or two to sort of chew through this. To be honest, at this stage, it shouldn't take too long to upload. Maybe a minute, maybe two tops. And then you get this little wonderful message on the bottom saying upload succeeded. That's perfect. So now your world is listed in VRChat. However, sorry, when I say listed, it's not publicly listed. Other people can't find it yet. That's the community lab section, and that's a separate thing entirely. You can manage that once you're at the right level. You can actually submit your world for community labs, and then it becomes publicly searchable. But for now, you can get in there and you can bring all your friends in. So let's do that. Yeah, okay. So here we go. Since the minutes after I did that, I went in on my headset. Now you gotta make sure you're in the Worlds tab in the menu, okay? And then you've got to go up to My Worlds and upload it. It's very important. And you should see your new world up here in there. Hooray. I'm just going to go into a new invite-only instance, to be honest. Just give it a second to load. And once we're in there, we'll be able to see the whole thing. There we go. Okay, so look, we're inside the world we just uploaded, running around. That's super cool. So, so yeah, well done, guys. We've just completed the upload your primitive world from Horizon Worlds to VRChat. I really would like to do this on other platforms. I'm probably going to target maybe Banter next, but I need to move a little bit closer to Banter and work out what's changed since I last built over there. I'm very, very excited about that. And we'll see if there's any demand for any other platforms you guys want me to cover. Give me a shout and I'll definitely throw that in the hat if more people want it. If enough people want it, then of course I'll do it. But yeah, for now, enjoy. That's how you upload, rematerialize, like illusions, and get your alternative world into VRChat. Thank you, and I will absolutely see you next time. Take care.